So I'm going to talk in this video about accepting penalty points, driving penalty points for someone else. Now, if you're a motorist in England and Wales, you will know that if you get 12 penalty points on your licence, then you will most likely be banned from driving for 6 months. Now, penalty points are usually given out in threes, so you effectively get 4 chances over a rolling 3-year period before they are wiped from your record. So when someone gets 9 points and then gets another speeding ticket which will result in a ban, they may look to a friend or family member to take the points for them. In this video, I'm going to explain why doing so is a criminal offence and can result in both people, the person who was driving and the person accepting the points. This can result in them going to prison. Welcome to my channel, Andy on Crime, where I talk about high-profile criminal cases and other aspects of criminal law in England and Wales. Before I get into the video, if you do have any comments, then please drop them down below. If you do enjoy this video, then please do give it a like, and if you'd like to see more from me, then please do subscribe to my channel. With all that being said, let's get into the video. So if we start off with a bit of background about speeding offences. If you are caught speeding, you will be sent 2 pieces of documentation. The first will be something called a notice of intended prosecution, and then you'll also be sent something called a section 172 notice. I'm going to briefly cover what both of these are. The notice of intended prosecution will give you the place the car was caught, the date, the speed it was going, and it's likely to give you a photograph of the vehicle at the place with which it was caught. And it will also set out the points that you were awarded and the fine associated with that ticket. And the section 172 notice comes from section 172 of the Road Traffic Act 1988. And this notice requires the registered keeper to identify the person who was driving. And the purpose of this notice is twofold. Firstly, it requires the registered keeper to confirm if it was indeed them driving, or if the car is used by 2 or more people, for the registered keeper to say who was driving if it was not them. And secondly, it puts the onus on the registered keeper to confirm who was driving, because if they fail to do so, under section 172, the registered keeper can be prosecuted, with the result being 6 penalty points and a £1,000 fine. So going back to my original point, if you are, as the registered keeper, on 9 penalty points, there may be a temptation to ask another family member to say they were driving and take the points, and the result being that you will not receive a ban. Now, the problem with doing this is that whilst a speeding offence is a relatively minor offence, usually attracting 3 points and a small fine, by doing this, by getting someone else to say that they were driving when you were indeed driving, you are committing a much more serious criminal offence of perverting the course of justice. And this offence, at its very core, is basically lying. And it's one of the most serious offences that comes before the court, because it strikes at the very heart of the justice system. And you might be thinking, well, the police are never going to find out, so what's the harm? The problem with thinking that, though, is that in this day and age of smartphones and social media, with everyone being connected, it's generally not that difficult to find out where someone was on a given day. And if you're the sole user of a car and someone who has 9 points, it might seem very suspicious that suddenly another person was driving for this latest speeding offence, the one that put you over the threshold for a ban. Now, you may have seen in recent years 2 members of parliament being caught doing this very thing, and both of them ending up in prison. Now, Chris Hume, who was my MP in March of 2003 when he was an MEP, was clocked speeding on his way home from Stansted Airport. And to save him from getting a ban, his wife agreed to take the points. Several years later, there was a breakup of their marriage and she effectively grassed him up. But both Chris Hume and his wife ended up being sent to prison. And a more recent example is Fiona Onasanya, Now, the Labour MP and former solicitor was convicted of colluding with her brother Festus after her Nissan Micra was clocked doing 41 in a 30-mile-per-hour zone in July of 2017. She was sentenced to 3 months in jail and her brother was given a 12-month custodial sentence. Now, if you do get 12 points on your licence and you are facing a ban, there is a way that you can avoid an immediate ban, which I will cover in the next part of the video. Now, to keep your driving licence, if you are indeed awarded 12 penalty points, you need to be able to convince the court that a ban would cause you what's known as exceptional hardship. Now, exceptional hardship can mean a number of things, such as the ban causing you a loss of employment, the ban impacting on others, particularly children or vulnerable adults, the ban causing you to default on your mortgage or fall behind on rental payments, or indeed the ban causing you to go bankrupt. Now, the ban is supposed to cause an element of hardship, so you cannot simply argue inconvenience. You must show that there is not just hardship, but exceptional hardship associated with you being awarded a driving ban. And if you successfully argue that the ban would cause you exceptional hardship, then you will be able to keep your licence despite having 12 penalty points. So to summarise, I really can't stress this enough, but if you are tempted when you have 9 points on your driving licence and you are given another speeding ticket, do not give points to other people. Firstly, you'll be committing a criminal offence of perverting the course of justice for which you can be prosecuted and sent to prison. But the person receiving the points on your behalf will also be committing a criminal offence and will also go to prison if you are caught. If you do get 12 penalty points and a ban would cause exceptional hardship to you, then you can argue that to the court, which may allow you to retain your licence despite having 12 penalty points. And if you really cannot prove exceptional hardship, then you should really just be taking the 6 months driving ban. Better to take a 6-month driving ban than having yourself and the person who either gave or received the penalty points, better than both of you spending 6 months in prison.